I'm sure all of you heard about this despicable, tragic murder that occurred on campus at the University of Georgia, where an illegal alien allegedly killed a nursing student, a 26, or excuse me, the man is 26-year-old, but the girl was in her, I believe, early to mid 20s. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution was one of the mainstream media outlets which refused, speaking of names, to call this individual an illegal immigrant, undocumented immigrant, illegal alien, whatever you want to call it. Instead, as we see right here, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution referred to him as, quote, a 26-year-old Athens man. So when I saw that tweet, you know what I thought of? I thought of a video that is pretty famous from a former president when he was accused of having improper relations, if you will, with a 22-year-old intern. Do we have that clip to play?
Yes, and I don't like the way you said that. Of course we do.
All right, let's play it.
Here we go.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
You don't have
Short
the
and
Miss
sweet.
Lewinsky? I'm kidding. No, that's the main part of it. No, but when I read headlines like this, that is what I think of, because that is really, I think, when we started to see lies of omission in this country become common, or sort of distorting language to kind of half tell the truth but half not tell the truth. So you read here the headline from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution referring to this man as an Athens man, and it's not inaccurate, but it's not the total story. It is hugely important that this person unlawfully entered this country, and also that under the policies of our current president, this individual was released out into this country, and then this individual went on to commit a heinous crime. So it's like a half truth, half not truth. And that really started, I think, we don't always tend to trace it to President Clinton, but I think it started with that Monica Lewinsky scandal. Because when he looked the American people in the camera and said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky, he later said, oh, I wasn't lying to the American people. That was my definition of sexual relations. You know, I view sexual relations as, for a lack of a better way of saying it, going all the way, not going to, second or third base. So that is where we started to see it. And, it's common in really, once your eyes are kind of open to it, you see it everywhere. I'll give you another example. How about this whole idea of student loan forgiveness? That's actually, I just thought of that now. It's actually a pretty good example because it's half true and it's half not true. Recipients of student loan forgiveness have their student loans forgiven. But this idea that student loans writ large are being forgiven is not true. Nothing in life is for free, right? It's not a forgiveness as much as it is a transference of debt to taxpayers who are incurring the cost of the Biden administration waving a magic wand and eliminating these loans. Yes, misinformation.
You're really on to something here. I don't know that we can pin this on Bill Clinton, but he was very smooth and very good with the wordage. The left is very good with the changing of words. This started with advertising. Once the first guy decided to sell papayas back in the day, he had the juiciest, most tasty papayas. The wordage and the verbiage that's used in advertising to sell people, the words like best-selling or stuff like that.
Right.
It has gone from advertising into politicians who basically lie without thinking. And that's how we've come up with this changing of the language that is bad for everybody.
No, totally. You're right. I look, it's certainly been percolating over time, and I think it's an astute observation that advertising has started it and accelerated it. But I wouldn't underestimate the effect that having the president of the United States say this stuff, lying deadpan to the American people, and then later trying to cover up for that lie by saying, oh, it was just a misunderstanding of language. I think that is when it really became legitimized and made mainstream, especially in politics. So there's the student loan forgiveness example, even gender affirming care. That one actually, to me, isn't so much a half truth. To me, it's not even fully true. When you are giving someone puberty blockers, or when you are amputating their breasts or changing their genitals, you're not affirming their gender. You're actually denying their gender. It would be more accurate to say, gender changing surgeries. And many people dispute the fact that it's care. Actually, many people, myself included, think, especially when that is done to minors, it is hardly care, it is abuse. I'll give you another example, because I've thought about this a little bit. The term pro-choice, that's not entirely capturing what's going on, right? Yes, it's a half-truth. It refers to the choice that the woman has when she is pregnant with the child and she's deciding whether or not she would like to abort the child. But to say I am pro-choice, those who are Brandon Tatum actually makes this statement. I think it's brilliant. Brandon Tatum says, I am pro-life and pro-choice. I am pro people making good choices leading up to when they have sexual relations, such as using, contraception, perhaps waiting until marriage in order to engage in that. He said, I am pro all of those choices. And then if a child happens to be conceived, that is when I am pro-life. So you understand my point. A final example I'll give is something that happened recently where there was this balloon. I don't know if you guys all saw this. This was on last Friday. There was these reports that an unidentified balloon had entered into the United States. It was traversing over the western part of the United States, and then it was going over Utah and Colorado. So what did a lot of people think, including yours truly? Spy balloon 2.0, right? Because this whole debacle happened last year. It took a little bit for our government to acknowledge at this time last year when the same thing happened that it was a Chinese spy balloon. And then we have seen that that was not just a one-off incident with regard to the CCP. They sent over a spy balloon in our U.S. territory. They sent a second spy balloon over Latin American territory a few weeks after. It traversed over Colombia, over Latin America. In fact, there were many more incidents of spy balloons all around the world, including parts of East Asia, specifically Taiwan and Japan. That happened over the summer. So the CCP has been using this as, I don't even think it was so much for them about spying, because they have satellites that can read lettering on a golf ball. They have technology that is far superior to a shanty balloon. But the point is, they have time and time again over the past year proven that they're willing to send over these balloons, I think more for intimidation and seeing what they can get away with than actually spying. So back to last Friday, we get this news report that there's this unidentified balloon going over some states which are particularly stacked with American military bases. And so a lot of us were speculating that it was a spy balloon. And then we saw this report from NORAD, which is basically the Air Force, saying, no, that balloon that we identified, not a threat to the United States. And they said it is, quote, likely a hobbyist balloon. I think that's another example of the Bill Clinton half lie, half truth, right? Because the term likely there is operative. They're not saying that they affirmatively know it was a hobbyist balloon. And by the way, come on, this is the Air Force. They know. They know what a hobbyist balloon is, right?
So you think NORAD is lying?
I think NORAD is to engage in the same activity we're analyzing. I think they're concealing the truth. Yes, I do. Because
are they telling the truth when they follow Santa?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Well, look, I think that it's not unwarranted to have some skepticism. Look at the track record of our government. They were the same people, not the Air Force specifically, but our government told us that, Donald Trump colluded with Russia, that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. By the way, that's another example. They said that the Hunter Biden laptop story had all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. They were covering for themselves. They didn't say outright that it was Russian disinformation. They said earmarks. This is the same government who told us that, COVID-19 originated from a bat and not a lab. So I think there's not a, it's not unwarranted to have some skepticism.